the first pick in the 1992 NBA Draft, the Orlando Magic selects Shaquille O'Neal from Louisiana State University.
Oh, baby!
Moving for O'Neal. That's a bad catch.
Into O'Neal. O'Neal across the lane. Dumps it in the face of Ostertag. Shaquille fade away.
7'1", 300 pounds, only 20 years old.
He was larger than life, literally and figuratively. At 7'1" and over 300 pounds, Shaquille O'Neal wasn't just a basketball player, he was a force of nature. From tearing down backboards to dominating the paint with unstoppable power, Shaq didn't just play the game, he changed it. Over a 19-year NBA career, he collected championships, MVPs, and the respect of every opponent who tried and usually failed to stop him. But how did he become one of the most feared and unforgettable players in NBA history? This is the story of Shaquille O'Neal, and why he may be the most dominant player the game has ever seen. LSU head coach Dale Brown first laid eyes on O'Neal when he was only 13 years old. They met each other in Germany at an army base where his father was stationed. Brown mistook the 6'8" kid for enlisted personnel, amazed by his stature at only 13. Brown began informally recruiting O'Neal, taking him under his wing and helping him develop his game. Shaq himself recognizes the impact Brown had on his game and how much he changed as a player after meeting him. O'Neal once stated,
"From 0 to 12, I was a horrible basketball player. Awful. Was told many times you won't amount to anything. At best, you'll be in the military like your father." So one day I was sitting in the house, true story, and my father came, punched me in the chest and said, "Some guy named Dale Brown is speaking at the gym. Maybe you can get a scholarship." Even he knew in his mind I wasn't really that good.
But Brown helped him along, and in return, O'Neal stayed loyal, committing to play basketball at LSU. O'Neal joined the LSU Tigers in 1989 after an accomplished high school career at Cole High School in Texas. O'Neal's impact was felt immediately in his first season as a Tiger. He was a first-team All-SEC and SEC All-Freshman selection, and averaged 13.9 points per game, 12 rebounds per game, and 3.6 blocks per game while shooting 57.3% from the field. In this season, O'Neal ranked first in the SEC for rebounds per game, blocks per game, total rebounds, and total blocks, all as a freshman. In his sophomore season, O'Neal took an enormous jump in his production. He averaged an eye-popping 27.6 points per game and 14.7 rebounds per game, which ranked first in the nation, and 5 blocks per game on 62.8% shooting. Each of those stats were number 1 in the SEC, and as a result, O'Neal was named both the SEC and National Player of the Year. Additionally, he was named First-Team All-American, First-Team All-SEC, and SEC All-Defense. In his final season in Baton Rouge, O'Neal would average 24.1 points per game, second in the SEC, 14 rebounds per game, first in the SEC, and 5.2 blocks per game, first in the SEC and the nation on 61.5% shooting. O'Neal was named the SEC Player of the Year for the second consecutive year, and would also receive First-Team All-SEC, SEC All-Defense, and First-Team All-American honors while leading the SEC for the third consecutive year in total rebounds and blocks while leading the nation with 294 field goals. O'Neal ended his LSU career with averages of 21.6 points, 3.5 rebounds, 1.7 assists, 1.2 steals, and 4.6 blocks per game. To this day, Shaq still holds the SEC record for total rebounds, rebounds per game, blocks per game, while also ranking top 5 in points per game, total blocks, field goal percentage, and field goals. After the end of his final season, O'Neal declared for the 1992 NBA Draft, where after his incredible college career, maybe the best in LSU basketball history, he was the clear-cut number 1 pick. On June 24, 1992, Shaquille O'Neal was drafted by the Orlando Magic. The Magic were an incredibly young team, and they were struggling. The team was an expansion team founded in 1989, making Shaq's rookie year only the franchise's 4th NBA season. The team had a lack of star power and very few foundational players, but after winning the lottery and landing O'Neal, the team's future was bright. Shaq joined the league and immediately got to work, being named NBA Player of the Week in his first week in the league, something that had never been done before. O'Neal had his fair share of highlights during his first year in the league, but I think 2 stand out more than any of the others. In a game against the Phoenix Suns, O'Neal's putback dunk was so powerful that it caused the backboard to collapse, deflating the hydraulic system that held it up. Later that spring against the New Jersey Nets, O'Neal's slam took down the entire backboard and nearly took him out in the process. After both of these moments, Rod Thorne, the league's executive vice president of basketball operations, made a statement. "We had a new thing this year with backboards coming down and being broken. We're going to make sure that all the equipment is up to snuff, whether it was Shaquille O'Neal or someone else. With the size of these guys, it's just a matter of time. He just happened to be a little bigger and stronger than most." Following this statement, the NBA changed the materials of the backboards, adding tempered, shatter-resistant glass and braces. Additionally, the league required backup baskets at every game in case there was another Shaqcident. The league also implemented a rule that any player who shattered the backboard or made the hoop unplayable would be assessed a non-unsportsmanlike conduct technical foul. In the spring of his rookie year, O'Neal was announced to be part of that year's All-Star team. He was the first rookie All-Star since Michael Jordan. At the culmination of Shaq's freshman season, he was named Rookie of the Year with averages of 23.4 points, 13.9 rebounds, and 3.5 blocks per game. And while the Magic missed the playoffs, they improved their record from the year prior by 20 games, going 41-41 on the year. After 1 year in the league, O'Neal's impact was already felt across the NBA, and he was just getting started. On November 20th, 1993, about a month into his second season, O'Neal recorded his first career triple-double, posting 24 points along with career highs of 28 rebounds and 15 blocks. A trade on draft night brought Shaq a partner in crime. Penny Hardaway was a shifty guard out of Memphis, who was the perfect complement to Shaq's game. Hardaway finished the season all-rookie first team and the runner-up for Rookie of the Year. O'Neal improved his scoring from the year prior, finishing his sophomore season with an average of 29.4 points per game, second in the NBA behind David Robinson. O'Neal, however, led the league in field goal percentage at 60%. Thanks to O'Neal's continued excellence and the addition of star rookie Penny Hardaway, Orlando finished the season with a record of 50-32, placing them fourth in the Eastern Conference and setting them up for a first-round matchup against the Indiana Pacers. The series was closely contested, with the largest margin of victory being 13 in Game 2. But in the end, the more experienced Pacer team came out on top, thanks largely to an excellent series from Reggie Miller, who averaged 29 points per game through the first round. O'Neal did not play as well as he probably should have in this series. His averages dropped. Most notably, his points per game took a 9-point hit, going from 29.4 in the regular season to 20.7 in the playoffs. He was a physical force in the paint, but Indiana's defensive schemes and defenders like Dale Davis and Rick Smits managed to limit his impact on the court. In the summer of 1994, following his early playoff exit, O'Neal joined the USA FIBA World Championship team. Nicknamed the Dream Team 2, the team went 8-0 on the way to a gold medal. The team was led by O'Neal, who was named MVP of the tournament, averaging 18 points and 8.5 rebounds. In O'Neal's third season, he continued to improve. His points per game rose to 29.3, the highest in the NBA as he won the scoring title. Additionally, he finished second behind David Robinson in MVP voting. Together, he and Hardaway formed one of the best duos in the league, and both were named to the All-Star team. The team finished 57-25, number one in the division and number one in the Eastern Conference. In the first round, the Magic faced the aging Boston Celtics. It was evident almost immediately that the Magic were a superior team, handing Boston a 47-point L in Game 1. The rest of the games were much closer, with an average margin of victory of 5, and while Boston managed to win Game 2, Orlando was just too much for them, winning the series in 4 and moving on to the second round. In the second round, the Magic faced a much bigger challenge than the Celtics, the Chicago Bulls. With Michael Jordan returning from retirement partway through the season and rejoining the team, add to that the presence of Horace Grant, who had left the Bulls in free agency the summer before to join the Magic, a move that many players on the Bulls resented him for. The Bulls were an incredibly dangerous team despite being 5th in the East. Game 1 was closely contested, but late in the fourth quarter, the Bulls led 91-90. After a Magic turnover, Jordan dribbled the ball across half court, but didn't see Nick Anderson, who stripped him of the ball. The ball found Hardaway's hands, who found Horace Grant for the go-ahead dunk that would put them up for good. The series was far from over. Games 2, 3, and 4 went back and forth, and the series was tied 2-2. But thanks to strong performances from Orlando's star duo in Games 5 and 6, the Magic won the series 4-2, handing Jordan his only playoff series loss from 91-98, and advancing to the Eastern Conference Finals. In the conference finals, Orlando faced a familiar foe, the Indiana Pacers. The series was hard-fought, going to 7 games, but in the end, Orlando's depth and youth, as well as their all-star duo, outlasted a battle-tested Indiana team, and the Magic advanced to their first-ever NBA Finals. Up to this point, O'Neal had been playing incredibly well in the playoffs. Through the first 3 series, he averaged 25.7 points, 11.9 rebounds, and 1.9 blocks per game on 57.7% from the field. He was dominating any defender teams put in front of him. He simply couldn't be stopped. In the finals, the Magic met the defending champion Houston Rockets, led by Hakeem Olajuwon and Clyde Drexler. In Game 1 at home, nothing went right for the Magic. Orlando blew a 20-point lead, and Nick Anderson missed 4 free throws at the end of regulation that could have won them the game. To add insult to injury, Kenny Smith hit a then-finals record 7 threes, and Houston took Game 1 in overtime. In Game 2, Hakeem and Drexler were dominant, and the Rockets pulled away in the fourth quarter to take a 2-0 lead. In Game 3 in Houston, the Magic fought well, keeping it close until late when Robert Horry and Hakeem both hit big shots to seal the game. In Game 4, Houston closed out the series behind Hakeem's 35-15, and Houston completed the sweep, becoming the lowest-seeded team to ever win an NBA title. O'Neal played relatively well in this series, averaging 28 points, 12.5 rebounds, and 6.3 assists per game, but he was completely outplayed by Hakeem, whose signature footwork and inside scoring were too much for the young center. In his 4th year in the league, O'Neal was injured for a good amount of the year. He ended up missing 28 games due to a preseason thumb injury. In Shaq's absence, Hardaway took over for the Magic, playing well enough to be named All-NBA First Team. Despite his injury, O'Neal still averaged 26.6 points, 11 rebounds, and 2.1 blocks per game and was named All-NBA Third Team and an All-Star. In this season, O'Neal hit his only career three-pointer in a home win over the Milwaukee Bucks on February 16, 1996. The Magic finished the season 60-22 and second in the Eastern Conference and quickly made their way through the playoffs to the conference finals before running into the historic 72-10 Chicago Bulls and getting swept by Jordan, Pippen, and Rodman. In the summer of 1996, O'Neal was selected to play for the USA Olympic team. Accompanied by his teammate Penny Hardaway, another of the NBA's best stars, the team was nicknamed Dream Team 3. While O'Neal only played around 15 minutes a game and averaged 9.3 points and 5.3 rebounds per game, he was still an impact player for the team and helped on their way to an 8-0 record and another gold medal. After 4 seasons with the Magic, in the summer of 1996, O'Neal became a free agent, and Orlando should have been able to re-sign him easily. They had his bird rights, which meant they could have exceeded the $24.3 million salary cap to re-sign him. At this point, there was no max luxury tax penalty, so Orlando could do this without issues. But Orlando didn't do that. Orlando lowballed O'Neal, offering him $54 million for 4 years. O'Neal wanted a contract of $20 million per year because Alonzo Mourning and Juwan Howard had signed 7-year, $105 million contracts, and O'Neal knew he was worth more. Instead of trying to bridge the gap, Orlando tried to create leverage, criticizing O'Neal's rebounding and defense and putting up a poll that asked Orlando residents if he was worth $150 million. 91% of the 5,000 plus answers said no, and the results were posted on a billboard, one that O'Neal's mother could see from her office. After Orlando burned all their bridges with O'Neal, he began looking elsewhere, deciding to leave Orlando and find a new home. The Shaq sweepstakes were on. Teams across the league, the Knicks, Pistons, Hawks, and Lakers were all scrambling to get the most sought-after free agent signing of the year. On draft night, the Lakers made a move that they hoped would help land them O'Neal. The Lakers traded Vlade Divac and his $8.5 million salary to the Charlotte Hornets for Kobe Bryant, a move that freed up cap space and landed a promising young player to play alongside O'Neal. The Lakers initially offered 7 years, $95 million with an opt-out clause after the 3rd year. After this, the Lakers traded George Lynch and Anthony Peeler so they could offer more money, and in response, the Magic counter-offered with $64 million for 4 years or $109 million for 7 years with an opt-out clause after 4 years rather than 3, which O'Neal liked. After the Lakers increased their offer to $120 million, and Jerry West pitched that he would make Shaq the Lakers' next big man, following in the footsteps of Mikan, Chamberlain, and Jabbar, O'Neal took their offer, signing with the Los Angeles Lakers. O'Neal's first season with the Lakers had his ups and downs. O'Neal averaged 26.2 points, 12.5 rebounds, and 2.9 blocks per game, but missed 30 games due to a knee injury. During All-Star Weekend, O'Neal was selected for the All-Star team, but did not play due to injury. During the same weekend, a rookie Kobe Bryant won the slam dunk contest. At the end of the season, O'Neal was named to the All-NBA Third Team and finished 9th in MVP voting, while Bryant was named to the NBA All-Rookie Second Team. The Lakers as a team played very well through the first part of the season, holding the number 1 seed in the West at the All-Star break. But to end the season, the Lakers slipped, falling to 4th in the Western Conference standings. In the first round of the playoffs, the Lakers faced off against the Portland Trail Blazers. In this series, Shaq was dominant, averaging over 29 points per game and 9 rebounds from the series. In Game 1, O'Neal dropped a monster 46-point game, the most points for a Laker in a playoff game since Jerry West scored 53 in 1969. The Lakers had no problem and won the series in 4, advancing to the second round. In the Western Conference semifinals, the Lakers met the Utah Jazz, led by Karl Malone and John Stockton. The Jazz were an experienced team full of veterans, and the Lakers struggled against them. The young Lakers team was overwhelmed by the Jazz's execution and discipline, and the Lakers fell in 5 games. At the end of Game 5, Kobe Bryant infamously shot 4 straight air balls, missing potential game-tying and winning shots. In the series against Utah, O'Neal averaged 22 points per game, 11.6 rebounds per game, and 2 blocks per game. Solid stats, but not enough to lead the Lakers past Utah. O'Neal's next 2 seasons with the Lakers continued much like his first, decent regular seasons followed by disappointment in the playoffs. In the 1997-98 season, O'Neal averaged 28.3 points per game, 11.4 rebounds per game, and 2.5 blocks per game, again being named an All-Star and being named All-NBA First Team at the end of the year. On December 29, 1997, the Dallas Mavericks were playing the Chicago Bulls. Dallas head coach Don Nelson instructed Bubba Wells to intentionally foul Dennis Rodman who was shooting an abysmal 38% from the line that season. Nelson's hope was that Rodman would miss at least one of each of his free throws, limiting the Bulls to just 1 point per possession. Unfortunately for Nelson and Dallas, the plan backfired. Wells used up all of his fouls on Rodman, fouling out in only 3 minutes, all for Rodman to go 9 of 12 from the free throw line and help propel the Bulls to a win. Even though it backfired, this moment would set the groundwork for a strategy that would eventually be known as Hack-a-Shaq. The Lakers finished the season 61-21, second in the Western Conference, thanks to another stellar season from O'Neal, a first-time All-Star Kobe Bryant coming off the bench, and solid role players like Eddie Jones, Nick Van Exel, and Rick Fox. The Lakers entered the playoffs with high expectations. The Lakers cruised through the first 2 rounds, losing 2 total games during this stretch. O'Neal dominated, averaging 31 points per game and around 9.8 rebounds per game. The team was clicking, but to make the finals, they were going to have to take out a familiar team. In the conference finals, the Lakers again met the Utah Jazz, the team that had eliminated them a year prior. Unfortunately for LA, the result was the same as the year before. They were swept by the Jazz, eliminated in just 4 games. Utah's physicality and double teams overwhelmed Shaq, and the Lakers were simply outmatched. The 1998-99 season was shortened due to a lockout, not starting until February 5th, 1999, which shortened the season from 82 games down to 50. The Lakers had an underwhelming start to the season, being 6-6 after 12 games. After the slow start, the Lakers head coach Del Harris was fired and replaced by former Laker Kurt Rambis. O'Neal played well for another consecutive season, averaging 26.3 points, 10.7 rebounds, and 1.7 blocks per game. This season also marked the first for Kobe Bryant as a starter. He averaged 19.9 points, 5.3 rebounds, and 1.4 steals per game. He was quickly becoming the star O'Neal needed by his side. Both players made All-NBA teams. O'Neal made All-NBA second team, and Kobe made All-NBA third team. The Lakers finished the shortened season 31-19 and 4th in the Western Conference. After taking out the Rockets in 4 games in round 1, they were swept by the eventual champion San Antonio Spurs. Shaq had a down series against San Antonio, rebounding well with 13 per game, but only averaging 23.8 points and 1.8 blocks per game in the series. Through his first 3 years, O'Neal had seen little playoff success. It was clear the team needed more depth, more experience, and better execution. In the summer of 1999, the Lakers hired former Bulls coach Phil Jackson. Upon joining the team, Jackson challenged O'Neal, telling him that the MVP trophy should be named after him when he retired. After an 8-4 start to the season, the Lakers won 7 straight games. Then from December to January, they went on a 16-game winning streak, followed by a 19-game winning streak between February and March, and an 11-game winning streak between March and April. They finished the season 67-15 and claimed the #1 spot in the West. O'Neal played incredibly well this season, averaging 29.7 points, 13.6 rebounds, and 3 blocks per game. He was named almost unanimously the league's most valuable player. On March 6, 2000, O'Neal dropped a career-high 61 points, 23 rebounds, and 3 assists as the Lakers got the 123-103 win over the Clippers. Towards the end of 1999, Don Nelson employed his intentional fouling strategy against O'Neal, who was a career 52% free throw shooter. Other teams across the league began to copy this strategy to defend O'Neal, so much that the Lakers hired Ed Palubinskis, a 90% free throw shooter, to coach O'Neal, and thus Hack-a-Shaq was born. At the end of the regular season, O'Neal was named to the All-NBA first team and All-Defensive second team. His partner in crime, Kobe Bryant, averaged 22.5 points, 6.3 rebounds, and 4.9 assists per game, and was named to the All-NBA second team and All-Defensive first team. Both players, as well as head coach Phil Jackson, represented the West in the All-Star game in Oakland, where O'Neal and Tim Duncan were named co-MVPs. In round 1, the Sacramento Kings, led by Chris Webber and Jason Williams, gave the Lakers some trouble, pushing them to a deciding Game 5 with their tempo and free-flowing offense. O'Neal dominated the paint, averaging 29.4 points, 17.4 rebounds, and 2.4 blocks per game, including 46 and 17 in Game 1 and 32 and 18 in Game 5 to close out the series. Against the Phoenix Suns in the Western Conference semifinals, the Lakers took care of business. The Suns, led by Jason Kidd, Penny Hardaway, and Cliff Robinson, were a solid team, but unfortunately they had no answer for Shaq in the paint. O'Neal averaged 30.2 points, 16.2 rebounds, and 2.6 blocks per game for the series, including a monster 40.16 rebound game in Game 2. In the Western Conference Finals, the Lakers met the Portland Trail Blazers in one of the best series of the decade. The Blazers were a deep, experienced team composed of Rasheed Wallace, Scottie Pippen, Steve Myth, Arvydas Sabonis, and Bonzi Wells. In Game 1, the Lakers blew out the Blazers behind a 41-point game from O'Neal. After Game 4, the Lakers seemed to be in control, up 3-1, but after 2 strong games from the Blazers, the series was pushed to a Game 7. In the fourth quarter of Game 7, the Blazers Blazers led by 15, but the Lakers came charging back behind a 25-4 run, capped off by an iconic moment where Kobe crossed Scottie Pippen and threw a lob to O'Neal, who slammed it down and celebrated on his way back down the court. Thanks to O'Neal's 25.9 points, 13.6 rebounds, and 2 blocks per game, the Lakers advanced to the NBA Finals. The Indiana Pacers were making their first Finals appearance. Led by Reggie Miller, Jalen Rose, Mark Jackson, and Rick Smits, they were looking to win their first NBA championship in franchise history. O'Neal opened the series with 43-19 as LA got the win on their home court. In Game 2, Kobe went down with an ankle sprain, playing only 9 minutes, but O'Neal put the team on his back, scoring 40 points and grabbing 24 rebounds, and the Lakers took a 2-0 lead. In Game 3 back in Indiana, despite 33 points from O'Neal, the Pacers got the win as the Lakers struggled without Kobe. In Game 4, Kobe returned and him and O'Neal laid down a 1-2 punch of 28 and 36 points respectively, and the Lakers took a 3-1 lead. The Pacers forced a Game 6 in a rough game that saw only 2 Lakers score in double digits, while Jalen Rose and Reggie Miller poured in 32 and 25 points. In Game 6, O'Neal scored over 40 for the third time in the finals. Powered by O'Neal's 41 points and 12 boards, the Lakers won their first title in the O'Neal-Bryant era. This series was a Shaquille O'Neal masterclass. In 6 games, he averaged 38 points, 16.7 rebounds, and 2.7 blocks per game on 61% shooting. O'Neal solidified himself as the best player in the world, being named League MVP and Finals MVP in the same season, and completely dominated the Pacers in the finals. In the 2000-2001 season, the Lakers had a little worse of a regular season. Injuries to O'Neal and Derek Fisher hindered the team a little bit, and they finished with a record of 56-26 and second in the West. Despite dealing with injury, O'Neal still played well, averaging 28.7 points, 12.7 rebounds, and 2.7 blocks per game, and being named to the All-NBA first team. After a somewhat quiet regular season, the Lakers entered the playoffs and locked in. In the first 3 rounds, Los Angeles swept the Blazers, swept the Kings, and then swept the number 1 seeded Spurs. On their way to the NBA Finals, LA didn't lose a single game. In the finals, the Lakers met the Philadelphia 76ers, the number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference. The Lakers lost Game 1 in overtime thanks to a massive 48-point game from the league MVP, Allen Iverson. Allen Iverson left his mark on this game, stepping back in the corner and nailing a long 2 over Tyronn Lue, who then tripped and fell directly in front of Iverson, who stepped over Lue on his way back down the court, an iconic all-time moment. The Lakers won the next 2 games, including Game 3 where O'Neal fouled out after backing over Defensive Player of the Year Dikembe Mutombo. Up 2-1 on the Sixers, the Lakers didn't take their foot off the gas, winning the next 2 games on their way to their second straight championship. In their entire playoff run, the Lakers only lost 1 game, finishing the playoffs with a record of 15-1. The best playoff run in history up to that point, and that record would hold until 2017 when the Warriors finished the postseason 16-1. O'Neal was dominant once again, averaging 33 points, 15.8 rebounds, and 3.4 blocks in the finals, all while matching up against the Defensive Player of the Year. O'Neal had captured his second championship and second Finals MVP in only 2 years. In the following offseason, O'Neal had to have toe surgery to correct a claw toe deformity. To open the season a couple months later, the Lakers didn't miss a step. The team opened the season 16-1 after a 9-game win streak between November and December. After averaging 27.2 points, 10.7 rebounds, and 2 blocks per game, O'Neal was named again to the All-NBA first team and finished 3rd in MVP voting. After sweeping the Blazers in the first round and taking down the Spurs in 5 in the second round, the Lakers were matched up against the Sacramento Kings. The Kings, led by Chris Webber and Mike Bibby, were the league's best team, finishing the season 61-21 and with the best record in the NBA. This 2002 Western Conference Finals series is maybe the most controversial playoff series in NBA history. After 5 games, the Kings led the series 3-2 and had pushed the defending champions to the brink of elimination. The Lakers, who had averaged 25 free throw attempts per game, shot 27 free throws in the fourth quarter of Game 6 on their way to a series equalizing win. The Lakers closed out the series in Game 7 in overtime behind 35 points from O'Neal and 30 points from Kobe. After an incredibly difficult series, the Lakers were on their way to their 3rd straight NBA Finals. Coming into the 2001-2002 season, the New Jersey Nets were going through a 3-year playoff drought and had a 73 and 141 record in those 3 years. But after trading for Stephon Marbury, who was then traded to Phoenix for Jason Kidd, drafting Kenyon Martin, and trading for the draft rights to Richard Jefferson, Jason Collins, and Brandon Armstrong, the Nets turned their team around. They finished the season 52-30 and number 1 in the Eastern Conference. The Nets competed as well as they could, but they had no answer for the duo of Kobe and Shaq. The Lakers won the series in a sweep, securing their 3rd straight title, becoming the 5th ever team to complete a three-peat. With averages of 36.3 points, 12.3 rebounds, and 2.8 blocks, O'Neal won his 3rd straight Finals MVP, becoming the 3rd player at the time to win 3 Finals MVPs. After winning 3 straight championships, the Lakers looked to continue their excellent run. Unfortunately, because of an off-season foot and toe surgery, O'Neal was sidelined to start the season, and without him, the Lakers started the season 3-9. After O'Neal returned to action, the team barely improved, being only 11-19 after 30 games. The Lakers were able to thankfully finish the season well, winning 11 of their last 13 games to finish 50-32 and 5th in the Western Conference. In O'Neal's absence, Kobe stepped up for LA. He averaged 30 points, 6.9 rebounds, 5.9 assists, and 2.2 steals per game while playing all 82 regular season games. O'Neal had another solid season with averages of 27.5 points, 11.1 rebounds, and 2.4 blocks per game. Both players were named to the All-NBA first team and selected to play in the 2003 All-Star Game. Entering the playoffs as a 5 seed, the Lakers faced an uphill battle. They managed to defeat the Minnesota Timberwolves in the first round, but unfortunately fell to the eventual champion San Antonio Spurs in 6 games in the second round. Following this disappointing loss, the Lakers made some off-season additions, signing free agents Karl Malone and Gary Payton. After these signings, the Lakers were immediately favorites to win the title. The Lakers ran into problems almost immediately. During the 2003 offseason, Kobe Bryant was accused of sexual assault in Colorado. Kobe would miss games early in the year because of his trial. On September 1st, 2004, the charges were dismissed because his accuser was unwilling to testify. In August, prior to the charges being dropped, the accuser filed a civil lawsuit against Kobe. The lawsuit was settled in March of 2005. Additionally, Gary Payton struggled inside Phil Jackson's triangle offense, and Karl Malone missed significant time due to multiple injuries. Despite the problems, the team finished the season 56-26 and second in the Western Conference. O'Neal saw a drop in his production, only averaging 21.5 points per game. After an incredible 12 years, his game was starting to slow down, and his production would continue to decline until his retirement in 2011. In the playoffs, the Lakers took down the Rockets, defending champion Spurs, and the Timberwolves on their way to another NBA Finals. Against the Detroit Pistons, the Lakers were overwhelming favorites. In everyone's minds, this would be another easy win for the Lakers, another championship for Shaq and Kobe, but that didn't happen. The Pistons dominated the Lakers, holding them to an offensive rating of 95.2 and only 81.8 points per game with their stifling defense. Wallace played excellent defense on O'Neal, holding him to a humble 26.6 points per game, a far cry from the 30-plus he had averaged in the finals before. Additionally, LA's star acquisitions Payton and Malone played terribly, averaging 4.2 and 5 points per game respectively. The Pistons won the series 4-1, capturing the NBA championship in a shocking result. Following the season, Phil Jackson and the team mutually agreed to part ways, and O'Neal was traded to the Miami Heat. After the acquisition of O'Neal, the Heat entered the 04-05 season with high expectations. Thanks to a strong second year from Dwayne Wade, 24.1 points per game, a solid showing from O'Neal, 22.9 points per game, and a solid supporting cast of Eddie Jones, Alonzo Mourning, Udonis Haslem, and Damon Jones, the Heat finished the year 59-23 and number 1 in the Eastern Conference. In the first 2 rounds of the playoffs, the Heat swept the Nets and then the Wizards. O'Neal played well in the first round, holding down the paint, and did the best he could in the second round despite dealing with multiple injuries. In the Eastern Conference Finals, the Heat ran into the defending champion Detroit Pistons. The Heat and Pistons played a grueling 7-game series. Both Wade and O'Neal suffered injuries that limited them, and in the end, that, combined with the Pistons having better depth, pushed them past the Heat and back to the finals. Through the playoffs, O'Neal only averaged 18.6 points and 9.8 rebounds per game because he was dealing with multiple injuries, including a thigh bruise and an abdominal strain. After starting the season 11-10, head coach Stan Van Gundy resigned, and Pat Riley took over the head coaching job. In the second game of the series, O'Neal injured his ankle and missed the next 18 games. For the rest of the season, Riley limited O'Neal to a career low in minutes, and as a result, he posted a career low in most statistical categories, averaging 20 points, 9.2 rebounds, and 1.8 blocks per game. Following the coaching change, the Heat went 41-20 and finished the year 52-30 and second in the Eastern Conference. Both Wade and O'Neal were named All-Stars, and O'Neal was named All-NBA First Team and Wade was named All-NBA Second Team. In the first round of the playoffs, the Heat took down the Chicago Bulls in 6 games. While Chicago was young and scrappy, the Heat's experience, led by Wade's 27 points per game and O'Neal's skill in the paint, ultimately prevailed. In round 2, after dropping game 1, the Heat won the next 4 games to defeat the Nets in 5. New Jersey stars Jason Kidd and Vince Carter were held in check by Miami's defense, and Wade and O'Neal both had a very efficient series. In the conference finals, the Heat got revenge for last year, taking out the Detroit Pistons in 6. Miami's execution down the stretch in close games and O'Neal's strong physical play powered the Heat past the Pistons. The Heat entered the NBA Finals as underdogs to the Dallas Mavericks. After dropping the first 2 games of the series, the Heat were on the ropes. In a must-win Game 3, the Heat were down 13 with 6 minutes remaining. The Heat stormed back, closing the deficit and eventually taking the lead with 9.3 seconds left to get the much-needed win. Thanks to an all-time finals performance from Dwayne Wade, the Heat won the next 3 games to capture their first title in franchise history. Wade was named Finals MVP after his stellar performance, and O'Neal won his 4th and what would end up being his final championship. The 2006-2007 season was the beginning of the decline of O'Neal's game. O'Neal missed more than 30 games at the start of the season due to knee surgery. When he returned, he was substantially slower and less explosive, two things his game relied heavily on. His averages dropped to 17.3 points, 7.4 rebounds, and 1.4 blocks per game. His role on the team shifted to that of a complementary piece rather than a star player. Wade also missed time due to injury, and the team as a whole struggled to find consistency. Miami finished the season 44-38 and 4th in the East before being swept in the first round by the Chicago Bulls. In this series, O'Neal struggled, dealing with foul trouble and having problems being mobile against a quicker Bulls team. After a slow start to the season, O'Neal was averaging career lows in points, rebounds, and blocks. Only 33 games into the season, O'Neal was traded to the Phoenix Suns. In his 28 games with the Suns, he averaged 12.9 points, 10.6 rebounds, and 1.2 blocks per game. His presence slowed the offense, signaling the end of Phoenix's 7 seconds or less era. In the first round of the playoffs, the Suns were knocked out in 5 games by the San Antonio Spurs. O'Neal had moments of his former physical dominance, but struggled to cover the Spurs pick and roll. In his one full season with the Suns, O'Neal was able to tap back into some of his old skill. He averaged 17.8 points and 8.4 boards, and was named an All-Star for the final time in his career. Despite O'Neal's solid season, the Suns finished the year 46-36 and 9th in the Western Conference, missing the playoffs. This was only the second time in O'Neal's career that he'd missed the playoffs, the other being his rookie year. After a disappointing stint in Phoenix, O'Neal was traded to the Cleveland Cavaliers. Cleveland hoped that O'Neal would have another All-Star season and give LeBron James some much-needed help. O'Neal averaged 12 points, 6.7 rebounds, and 1.2 blocks per game for the Cavs, missing the final 23 games of the regular season due to a thumb injury. O'Neal was pretty much a role player at this point. Occasionally he would show flashes of his old self, but it was clear that due to age and injuries, that player was a thing of the past. In the playoffs, the Cavs defeated the Bulls in 5 games before being taken down by the Boston Celtics in a major upset. O'Neal averaged 11.5 points and 5.5 rebounds per game in the playoffs, struggling with mobility and pick-and-roll defense. In the offseason, O'Neal signed a 1-year veteran minimum contract with the Boston Celtics. At 38 years old, he was relegated to the team's backup center. In his 37 games with the team, he averaged 9.2 points and 4.8 rebounds per game. O'Neal's season was heavily hindered by chronic Achilles and calf injuries. After January, he only played 2 more regular season games and was extremely limited. In the playoffs, he only played in 2 games for a total of 12 minutes. O'Neal tried to return in the second round against the Heat, but was ineffective and his mobility was extremely limited, and the Celtics were ultimately eliminated from the playoffs by the Heat. On June 1st, 2011, O'Neal announced his retirement from the NBA, posting a video in which he said, "I'm retiring. Love you. Talk to you soon." The Lakers' tandem of Shaquille O'Neal and Kobe Bryant is regarded as one of the best duos in NBA history. But the relationship between the two was tumultuous, a complicated rivalry that lasted a decade. When O'Neal and Bryant joined the Lakers in 1996, there was a clear imbalance in their dynamic. O'Neal was the established star, a scoring champ and one of the best players in the league. Bryant was an unproven, young player determined to leave his mark on the league. Friction between the two began in the late 90s. Kobe's increased popularity and jersey sales irked O'Neal, who saw himself as the team's leader and cornerstone. Additionally, Bryant's ball-dominant shoot-first offense bugged O'Neal. The 1997 overtime loss to the Utah Jazz, in which Bryant shot 4 straight air balls after O'Neal fouled out, angered O'Neal, who knew he would be judged by the team's success. During the lockout-shortened 98-99 season, the Lakers had their fair share of problems. Many players blamed their problems on Bryant's selfish play. At one point, O'Neal pointed at Bryant and told reporters in the locker room, "There's the problem." During the 2000 All-Star introductions, O'Neal made a joke about Bryant's crossover, which was prone to turnovers at the time. To start the next season, O'Neal showed up to camp out of shape, and Bryant, who wanted to run a faster-paced offense, called for a change, but O'Neal wanted the offense to continue to run through him. In 2002, injuries hindered O'Neal and losses piled up, but O'Neal deflected responsibility, declaring that he would recover on company time, a statement that didn't sit well with Bryant, who carried the scoring load while O'Neal was out. Amidst Bryant's legal ordeal in 2003, he caused outrage, telling investigators that O'Neal had paid women to keep quiet in the past. The statement left O'Neal feeling deeply betrayed. At training camp, O'Neal stated the full team is here, even though Bryant was absent. Later on, O'Neal said teammates Malone and Payton came to LA for 1 player, not 2, leaving out Bryant. Bryant responded, saying that O'Neal should focus on playing in the post and sharing his displeasure with O'Neal for not reaching out during his legal troubles, stating that O'Neal was supposed to be my friend. In the same interview, Bryant attacked O'Neal's fitness and work ethic, saying he came into training camp fat and out of shape, and that O'Neal exaggerated the effect of his injuries to cover for being out of shape. O'Neal released a diss track before he was traded in which he compared Bryant to a knockoff trying to emulate him. The rivalry had become incredibly personal. After their loss to the Pistons in the finals, tensions reached a boiling point, and after Phil Jackson, a favorite of O'Neal, and the team parted ways, Mitch Kupchak said he would consider trading O'Neal, prompting O'Neal to request a trade. O'Neal felt that the front office was making moves to placate Bryant and wanted to be no part of the direction the team was heading in. One day after O'Neal was traded to Miami, Bryant resigned with the team for 7 more years. Bryant denied that he had any involvement in the front office's decisions. On Christmas Day in 2004, the Heat met the Lakers in one of the most anticipated games in NBA history. Before the game, Bryant and O'Neal didn't speak, sharing only icy nods. At the end of the night, it was O'Neal's Heat that were victorious. O'Neal and Bryant went at each other for most of the game, prompting O'Neal later to ask, "What happens to a Corvette when it runs into a brick wall?" referring to Bryant and his matchups in the post during the game. In 2005, the relationship between the two began to reconcile. Before a game in January, O'Neal and Bryant greeted each other with handshakes and hugs. O'Neal also praised Bryant's 81-point game against the Raptors that season. By 2008, the two players were becoming friends. O'Neal blamed the feud on Phil Jackson, stating that he sensationalized it to the media. In the 2009 All-Star Game, O'Neal and Bryant were once again teammates, and the two were named co-MVPs. After the game, Bryant handed the trophy to O'Neal's son, a small gesture that marked a positive shift in their relationship. In 2010, after winning his 5th championship with the Lakers, Bryant playfully stated in the post-game press conference, "I got one more than Shaq now, and you can take that to the bank." O'Neal responded afterwards saying, "Congratulations, Kobe, you deserve it. You played great. Enjoy it, man, enjoy it. I know what you're saying. Shaq, how my ass tastes." A year after O'Neal's retirement, Bryant passed him on the all-time scoring list. Shaq congratulated Kobe, telling him he was proud of him. Later in the year, Bryant opened up about the feud, saying that the whole thing was a good learning experience and that the two have a good relationship now. In February of 2018, the two players recorded a players-only special for NBA TV. They spoke about their history together, shared regrets over their feud, and showed respect and appreciation to each other.
About people, they loved us so much, they loved to keep our beef going.
Yeah.
They loved it.
Yeah. Well, it was entertainment for the city for so long. It was like, okay, what's going to happen? Because it was not a conversation of whether or not they're going to win the game.
Yeah,
It wasn't, you know,
never,
that wasn't a topic of discussion.
Yeah,
it was like, okay, they're going to win tonight, or you know, they're going to make the playoff. That was never the topic. It was always, okay, what are these two going to be like tonight?
What did he say? What did he say?
Yeah.
On January 26, 2020, Kobe, his daughter Gianna, and 7 others were tragically killed in a helicopter crash. Kobe's passing shook the NBA world to its core. On January 28th, 2 days after Bryant's passing, the Lakers and Clippers were scheduled to play, but the game was postponed out of respect for Bryant and his family. In place of the game, TNT aired a live show in the Staples Center to honor and remember Kobe and Gigi. During the show, O'Neal gave an almost 7-minute monologue speaking about his relationship with Bryant and his disbelief about his passing.
The day I'm downstairs working out with my son Shakir, my nephew Columbus, and my other nephew comes in crying, and he shows me his phone. And I snapped at him. I said, "Man, get that out of my face. Just get it away from me." You know, we live in a world where anything could be photoshopped, anything could be hoaxed. I didn't want to believe it. And then I got the call from you, Charles, Kenny, everybody called me. And then we found out it was confirmed. And haven't felt the pain that sharp in a while. I lost a little brother. Our names would be attached together for what we did. People always ask about our relationship, and I tell them it's just like me and Charles. You got 2 strong-minded people that are going to get it done their way. We're going to say certain things. The respect will never be lost. But when it comes to be inside the lines and win, that's what me and him, that's what we did. That's what me and Charles, that's what we do. The fact that we're not going to be able to joke at his Hall of Fame ceremony. We're not going to be able to say, "Hi, I got 5, you got 4. The fact that we're not going to be able to say, "If we would stay together, we could have got 10. Those are the things that you can't get back.
Bryant and O'Neal's relationship was complex. 2 of the most dominant players of the era butting heads over who was the alpha, the head of the table. And while the two fought, in the end they were brothers at heart. 2 of the greatest basketball players we've ever seen, and one of the best duos in the history of the NBA. At his peak, O'Neal was the most unstoppable player in the league and maybe in history. With his size, athleticism, and physicality, O'Neal completely changed the landscape of the NBA. Richard Jefferson, who played against O'Neal in the 2002 NBA Finals, recalled what it was like being on the court against O'Neal. A few years ago on JJ Redick's podcast, Jefferson spoke to O'Neal's dominance and how he changed the game.
But with the Shaq shit, there was no fucking guarding him. You were not fucking with Shaq, bro. They changed how you had to construct your roster. You had to have 2 or 3 bigs just for fucking fouls. Not like good bigs. We just need bigs there. We need big bodies. He has been the most dominant player in the history of the game of basketball, period. Like Shaq physically was the most dominant player we have ever seen, like maybe will ever see, because of his sheer size, athleticism, skill, footwork, hands, everything. There was no guarding him.
Allen Iverson, who played against O'Neal in the 2001 NBA Finals, spoke about his dominance as well.
Nobody do nothing with Shaq. Nothing. It won't even close. Shaq had to get assaulted every game. You know what I mean? Like, do you know how many times he got fouled when they didn't call it? Like this dude right here, man. I remember we was playing them, and I remember they threw it to him, and I tried to foul him before he was going up and jumping. No, I remember jumping on his back, and he took me up with him. I ain't lying, dog. And Kobe looked at me and said, "Man, what the hell is wrong with you? You trying to die? Are you trying to die?"
Another player who faced O'Neal in the finals, Kenyon Martin Sr., shared what it felt to guard O'Neal, saying that when he backed you down, it was over.
Go guard him, man. Like Father Time guarded Shaq. Like, trust me, like there wasn't no stopping that man, dog. The only player ever to not shoot anything outside of the paint and dominate. They put rules in, not zone, what's it called, dislodging rules, like all because of him, man. Like the back down rule, like it was Charles Barkley started, but it was for him. Because if he gets you to a certain point, it's physically a wrap.
When the dust settles and the banners fade, what remains are the legends. Those rare few who didn't just play the game, but changed it. Shaquille O'Neal was one of those few. He was a giant in every sense, a dominant force on the court, yes, but also a larger-than-life presence who brought joy, power, and personality to everything he did. He made the game feel bigger. He made it feel alive. There were centers before Shaq, there were champions before Shaq, but no one was Shaq. And maybe that's his greatest legacy, not just the titles or accolades, but the feeling he left behind, the awe, the excitement, the sheer wonder of watching a man that size do the impossible night after night. Shaquille O'Neal didn't just leave footprints on the game, he left craters. And no matter how much time passes, the game will always remember the thunder he brought with him. He once said, "Excellence is not a singular act, but a habit. You are what you repeatedly do." Shaq lived that, and basketball was never the same.